Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Ryan Sandell, and this is the first of a series of lectures that constitute an introduction to phonology during the summer semester of the year 2020 at the Ludwig-Maximilians-Universität in Munich. Um, Today, we're going to start by first naturally addressing the question of what phonology is, and then we'll be gradually moving to the major theme of phonemic analysis. So for those of you who have the handout at home, who are enrolled in this course, you can see what's going to be covered for today. Ideally, by the time you're reading this lecture or hearing this lecture, you should have read the first chapters of the Hayes textbook and the Hall textbook. And I'll go over the syllabus, the Lehrplan, in a little bit more detail in a separate video for those of you who are enrolled. So first, I just want to say a few words about the theoretical basis and the goals that are going to be pursued in this course. So as you might expect from the title, this course constitutes an introduction to phonology, and it deals with phonological analysis in the generative tradition. And I have to really say that phonological analysis sort of outside of the mainstream generative tradition, I'm not sure that any such thing really exists in the world at this point. Just to give you a sort of short history of phonology in the Western world, so leaving out ideas concerning sounds and systems of sounds, say in Western antiquity or in ancient India in the grammar of Parnini, we can kind of go back to the late 19th century and there see the works of the Polish linguist Jan Baudouin de Courtenay and the German linguist Eduard Sievers. And their works were influential on members of the Prague circle. For instance, Trubetskoy, whose major work, Foundations of Phonology, was first published after his death in 1939. And another member of the Prague circle, Roman Jakobson, who emigrated from Europe to the United States during the 1940s, also came to have some influence on the development of phonology. In particular, there's one important work, I believe from 1952, which Jakobson published in collaboration with the Latvian-American linguist Morris Halley, and the Swedish phonetician Gunnar Fant, which was an early development towards a phonological feature system. We'll be hearing a lot about phonological feature systems in the course of this course. But kind of the overall approach and ideas about phonological analysis, besides the basic ideas about contrast and phonemes that are already present, at least in Trubetskoy's work, these bases and the system that we'll be operating within this course can really be said to have emerged from Morris Halley's work, and one sort of foundational work that he published together with the well-known, better known as a syntactician, Noam Chomsky, in 1968, was a book, The Sound Pattern of English. And this book, The Sound Pattern of English, includes a lot of basic ideas in terms of the structure of rule systems, the interaction of phonological rule systems. And essentially, that work by Chomsky and Halley became standard in terms of an approach to phonology in North America, and has essentially laid the basis for the broader generative approach to phonology since the 1970s or so. There was a major change in the overall approach to analysis during the 1990s with the advent of optimality theory. I won't say too much about optimality theory during this course. We may mention a little bit more of that under 2.2 here below. But the basic idea of this course, our primary goal, I should say, is just to obtain some practice, some practical experience with trying to analyze the sound systems of a typologically diverse array of languages. So my objective is for everyone participating in this course, everyone watching this video, to have an idea of how one practices phonological analysis, first of all, and then secondly, what can actually occur in phonological systems of the world? What kinds of processes should we expect to find? What kinds of processes are rare or unusual? Okay, so let me say a couple of brief words about our textbooks and the schedule. So I'll be working primarily with the 2009 textbook of Bruce Hayes. The title is straightforward, Introductory Phonology, and we'll essentially be working our way from beginning to end with this textbook. And for those of you at the Ludwig-Maximilians-Universität who are following along with this course, another good reference is the 2011 book in its second edition of Tracy Allen Hall, Phonologie, eine Einführung. And I've more or less chosen parallel chapters from Hall's book and Hayes' book, which you can compare with one another. And I'd say that the two books essentially cover most of the same material, though Hall's book does go into a few topics that aren't addressed whatsoever in Hayes' book. And important to note here, so I would say you should be reading everything from Hayes. It's not absolutely necessary to read Hall unless you would like to have that German language explanation as well, or have a slightly different perspective. But where important to note is that if the two books disagree on any points, that especially will be the case when we talk about phonological feature systems in a few weeks. We're going to follow what Hayes sets forth unless I explicitly state and decide otherwise. Okay, so at that point then, we can start to come to our first major question, namely, what is phonology?